All right, good evening. It's 7 p.m., September 11th, 2025, and I'd like to welcome everyone in the room and those who are participating online as I call to order this meeting of the Bellbrook-Sugarcreek Board of Education for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. We value everyone's input and have made sure to dedicate a portion of this meeting to hear from you. If you missed it, there's a sign-in sheet up by the front door for anybody who wishes to speak tonight, and we look forward to your comments during that time, as it's indicated on the agenda. So with that, Mr. Godham, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Anderson,
Here.
Mrs. Dawn,
Here.
Mr. Kinsey,
Present.
Mr. Price,
Here.
Dr. Pryor.
Present.
5 yeses.
All right, we have a quorum. Before we invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, I just thought I'd say, since today should always be a day of remembrance, I think we should honor the 24th anniversary of the attacks on 9/11. Should honor those who gave their lives that day and those who gave their lives afterwards. And I know as I do the pledge here, maybe I'll be keeping in mind the liberties and values of our country. And so at this point, I would invite you, if you're able to, stand and join us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Godham, tonight's treasurer's report.
The first item is approval of minutes for August 14, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Anderson, then Mrs. Dorn. Okay, any corrections or questions? All right, please call the roll.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Abstain, I was absent.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor.
Yes.
4 yeses, 1 abstain. My second recommendation is approval of August 28, 2025 board minutes.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Dorn, then Mrs. Anderson. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Abstain. I was absent.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
4 yes, 1 abstain. My next recommendation is approval of August 2025 financial statements.
So moved. Second.
Dr. Pryor, and then Mrs. Anderson.
So 16% of the fiscal year has elapsed, and if we look at the revenues and expenditures, they are in line. Our tax revenues are high at this time because we've got the tax settlement, and we're not going to get anything for next 6 months. So next one will be in February of 2026. So tax revenue looks like 46% has been collected. We collect about 45 this time and about 55% in spring. So we're in line for property taxes. Everything else is in line.
Great.
Anybody have any questions? All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn.
Yes.
5 yeses. My next recommendation is approval of stipends for special education.
So moved. Second.
Mrs. Dorn, and then Dr. Pryor.
So in this recommendation, we're approving the rates instead of approving the employees. So the board will approve the rates, and if someone's working in that position, they will be paid in accordance with the board approved rates.
Any questions? Please call the roll.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey.
Yes.
5 yeses.
Anything else, sir?
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is time for correspondence. Does any board member have anything that they would like to share, especially anything that the other board members haven't seen yet? Cool. All right, we'll move into reports to the board, and we would like to welcome our manager of business, Mr. Jeff Eckley. Thanks for being here, sir. Thanks for all you do.
There we go. Good evening. First, I would like to personally thank Dr. Kozad and the members of the Board of Education for allowing me the opportunity to continue to serve our school district and community as the manager of business. I've been here for now, this is my 27th year, and I really appreciate the opportunity to continue to have a chance to live a life with purpose. Sometimes in retirement, it's a little hard to find, you can only play so much golf. So it's great to be able to continue to work with all of the educational professionals in our district to try to make this the best place that Bellbrook can be. Next, in the 2024-25 school year, we completed well over 30 projects, major projects within our school district, which many are highlighted on this sheet. Much of this work was accomplished through the use of a facilities committee. The members are listed here on the screen, and I would like to thank these people for giving of their time and effort to look forward to working with them in the future to continue to address the needs of our school district. This group serves as the liaison between the building staffs and the PI budget to identify the needs and concerns, plans for improvement and replacement and upgrades. They meet 4 times a year, and we get together to generate action plans for each building. These are the people that are in the trenches and actually see the functioning of the building and how it works, and then we address those issues to try to make it the best educational environment that we can. Not wanting to go into all of them, I did choose a few that I would like to highlight, taking a closer look at them. Our first slide over here is a picture of Stephen Bell. Last summer, we removed the wood mulch that was there and we added drainage tile. This allowed us greater access to the playground and allowed the playground to dry much faster. Then the middle one, we provided security film to all the buildings within the district, providing an additional layer of protection for our students, our staff, as well as an installation of a protective fence, allowing our high school students the opportunity to access the courtyard in front of the school during the day in a safe manner. In the areas of compliance and accessibility, with the help of a local architect, Brady Hardings, we redesigned and resurfaced our handicap parking for the stadium, as well as the drop-off and pickup areas for the preschool and BCI. As you know, this was a problem before. We'd have traffic backing up on the road. We've now gone to the mega Chick-fil-A version of 3 lanes all converging, and it helps to get the traffic off of the road. We also installed 2 walking paths in front of our high school for greater accessibility to all parts of our campus, and we replaced the flooring in the restrooms within BCI. Again, there's many more projects that we worked on, but those are just some of the highlights. Hopefully you've seen some of the improvements that have gone on within our district, and these truly could not have been accomplished without the partnership of our community. In particular, I would like to point out our Bellbrook Lions Club for Eagle Land 2, our new sign at the middle school, which is in partnership with a large donation from Crossroads Church, and finally the remodeling of our stadium restrooms, which was much needed. So what's on the horizon? I am currently meeting with several local firms to assess the need for our aging HVAC systems in both BCI and Stephen Bell Elementaries. As we get closer to these project costs, I will be providing you with that information, as I am also looking for opportunities with the state of Ohio to defer some of these costs through potential grants for energy savings. As you know, these are all things that probably need to be addressed, and I will have that information for you very soon. The goal is to get those both up and running and completed during the cooler months of the year, and when we get to the spring, have them in place so that we can enjoy a well climate controlled area.
Quick question, surprising to me, but literally it makes ice, right? In the system to the right, it makes ice and then it passes air over it to cool. That's really interesting.
Yep.
Same thing at the high school.
That's
High
really
school is
neat.
similar. Yep.
So, and these units are 20 plus years old, so they are at end of life. We're having groups that are analyzing the efficiency of them and how they can be replaced. and looking at to not only be more effective, but also more cost savings for energy purposes. As you know, you've probably heard or seen in your own utility bill, energy prices are going up dramatically. So this one too will help with some of those rising costs. As you know from being homeowners yourself, maintenance issues will continue to present themselves. The Chinese proverb on the screen is correct. But the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. We are at that point where we need to be taking a look at some of our equipment that we have, and I am very confident that our district will come through and see these to their fruition. A phrase that I've used when I was the principal, good people working together can accomplish great things. I do truly believe that, and again, I would love to thank the people who serve on our facilities committee. They do it for free, okay, just to help out to make our district the best that it can be. Any questions?
Jeff, while you're on that picture, actually, this is just something I want to make sure is on your radar. Somebody brought up, and maybe it was a year ago at one of our meetings, literally right there in that picture, where the crosswalk comes across from the main parking lot to the, call it handicapped area of the parking lot where the folks are standing. Folks were sharing that when we have big events here, if all the handicapped parking is taken, there is no way to get from the main parking lot if you are wheeled. That normally there would be some sort of a ramp coming up on either side, so if you had to use that main parking area and you were in a wheelchair or on a knee scooter or whatnot, you just happened to be on that picture, and it was a good time. I want to make sure that was on your radar and check into that. I know we have quite a bit of parking forward of that, but
Absolutely.
add it to the list if you would.
Yes.
And so the money that we set aside at the end of last fiscal year, this capital improvement money, so again, that is going to go towards these big ticket items. The other items are more PI budget kind of items, but those big ones are going to be quite a bit. Again, if you can just think about your own house, how much a HVAC system costs for a whole building, it's going to be quite expensive, but hopefully we can get some energy savings out of that and them last 20, 30 years like these have. Again, some of the parts for these items are really difficult to get, or they have to be custom made, or anything that's 20, 25, 30 years old. They're getting close to end of life. At BCI a couple years ago, we had some major repairs to that, and so it cost quite a bit of money just to repair it. And again, like I said, the fittings and so forth are just out of date and out of production. So
Yeah, just to try to illustrate that, at Stephen Bell, it's a fan system. Okay, if you look at your own personal home, it has a fan on top of your air conditioner. You have one. That building has 24. Okay, or maybe you use a heat pump at your house where you have one heat pump. Stephen Bell Elementary has 79. So it's substantial, the cost, but hopefully it's something that we will address. Typically, lifespan is around 20 years or so. So not that we have to do it all the time, but they're big numbers coming. Which we do have money set aside.
HVAC kicks into overdrive after recess and gym time, so
Yes.
appreciate it.
Mr. Ecker, thanks for all your work. I know you had a lot of balls in the air this summer and a lot of projects. Appreciate all your hard work and
Yes,
dedication
thank you.
and focus on all of those. So appreciate that.
Yep. You can
Absolutely.
definitely notice that things are looking nicer.
Fresher,
around the
yes.
district, just in general.
They look really good.
Thank you.
Thank
And thank you to my maintenance staff, very dedicated group of people,
Yep.
to get our facilities the best that they possibly can. It doesn't help us if things don't work while they're in a classroom. And we try to get to things as quickly as possible. So thanks to the maintenance and custodial staffs for all that.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's our only report to the board, so we will now move into open communication period. Again, there's a sign-in sheet by the front door. If you'd like to speak tonight, you can sign in there, because your thoughts and comments are welcome during this time. When given the floor, please share your name, address, and any group affiliation you hold if it's relevant. You'll then have 5 minutes for your comments, which should be directed toward the presiding officer. Tonight happens to be me. This time is usually for the board to listen and absorb, and as such, traditionally, a dialogue is not created in this moment. In case you're wondering, the reason for these policies, which can be read in their entirety on the district's website and policy number 169.91, is to ensure that as many people as possible have the opportunity to speak and that everyone is treated equally and fairly. So I would like to welcome up Mitchell Hirschfield. Welcome. You have 5 minutes.
Good evening. I am Mitchell Hirschfeld. I live at 2746 Washington Mill Road here in Sugar Creek Township. I'm a father to 3 amazing girls. The older 2 attend Stephen Bell and BCI, and we intend for the third to attend once she's old enough. I'm a civil servant myself, a father, a husband, a business owner, and a Christian. I wanted to come out tonight to voice my support and thanks for the many policies you, the Board of Education, have implemented to improve our great school district. In particular, I want to thank you for taking action and adopting Policy 5780. I wanted to share a few thoughts of why I, a parent, support it as written. The first point I'd like to touch on is the inclusion of clarifying language beyond what is included in the Ohio law, namely the definition provided for sexuality content. Policy 5780 provides additional parenthetical descriptions of inherently private sexual acts or sexual intercourse in any form to further clarify and remove ambiguity left in Ohio law. This clarity helps provide guardrails to make what could be very subjective, what is sexuality content, more objective. I therefore applaud the board for including such descriptions to help protect our children. My second point, I want to applaud the restrictions Policy 5780 places on sexual material to additional grades beyond those in Ohio law. Ohio law is K through 3, while 5780 extends that through 8th grade. Again, thank you for taking that initiative. My third point I would like to point out is the opt-in versus opt-out. Again, the board chose to further restrict access to sexual material beyond the minimum opt-out that Ohio law prescribes. This was done by writing 5780 with the default that students will not have access to this material unless opted in by parents. Once again, I fully support this approach, and the remainder of my time will be to address this point. An opt-out approach places the burden on parents to review all current material in the library, read material they have no desire to consume, and stay current if and when new materials are added in the future. While this may be possible, it would be an extensive burden on parents. If only we as parents had an individual to curate material in our school libraries. Oh wait, we have that. As taxpayers, we pay school librarians who should know what material is in their curated collections, select appropriate material, and know when new material is added. I therefore propose a way forward for the opt-in policy in school libraries for transparency and availability. I didn't attend last meeting, but I was watching online, and the material that was presented was it violated my trust as a parent, as what would be found in a school library. So, that being said, I propose in addition to curating the collection of books, librarians curate a list of all materials containing sexual content. Any parent, student, staff member, or community member within the district can flag a piece of material as questionable. Once identified, access to this material is immediately restricted. A transparent review process can be implemented to verify whether or not it contains sexual material as defined by the policy. If so, the material remains restricted and is added to the previously mentioned curated list of materials. This list can be made freely available upon request to any parent to opt in their student to have access to one or more of the items. I feel this approach or something similar will provide full transparency and is necessary to rebuild trust with parents in the community. My next part of this discussion is actually discussing the 10th grade reading assignment, Poet X. One of these main discussion points was to relax to an opt-out policy as it pertained to this reading assignment in the 10th grade. Namely, the argument was made that it was too challenging and disruptive to teach divided class between those that opted in and those who have opted out. I agree, this is a completely valid concern. However, answers following that discussion from the board revealed that several parents, about 10%, have already explicitly opted out. My rhetorical question to the teacher is, what is the threshold, and haven't we already reached it where a second lesson plan would have to be made? So where do we go from here? Without the district overruling parents' wishes, Poet X cannot be the single book solution desired by the staff. The parents have spoken, and the difficult decision is now up to the teachers. The question is, which do they desire more? To read a single book with the class to foster the community and discussion that comes with such an opportunity, or to specifically read the book Poet X? In my opinion, there are a plethora of alternatives, and I would advise strongly to read one of those instead. My final discussion point with the opt-in versus opt-out is to address the legality of the policy. It was brought up at the previous board meeting and cited the Supreme Court Island Trees School District versus Pico, 1982. However, they failed to mention that the Supreme Court later ruled Bethel School versus District and Frazier.
I'm so sorry, you'll have to finish your thought.
Absolutely. I encourage you to look up that court case. I think the board is on solid ground. In closing, I'd like to once again thank the school board for all that you've done for this community, and thank you for your service. God bless.
Thank you for your comments. Up next is Greta Shoemaker.
Hi everyone, my name is Greta Schumacher. It's good to see everyone here and good to see so many students here today. I would like to first of all continue what was said before. Thank you to the board for your communication. After the last board meeting, I wrote an email and I was really happy to have gotten responses. So thank you to Ms. Dorn, Ms. Pryor, and to Dr. Kozad, and also to Mr. Price. I really appreciated it. And I think that's one thing we all need to keep in mind. It's communication and compromise. And that's the one thing we as parents would like to have. We would like to know what's going on. I think the main thing about the library being closed, and the problem with that was that it caught us off guard. A lot of parents were caught off guard. It wasn't necessarily just the policy, it was just like it wasn't communicated to the point where so many of us were not aware of it. And now, when we communicate, and like I spoke to Ms. Dorn earlier, I agree, yes, there should be parental rights. But again, if you do have parental rights, you as a parent do have an obligation to actually use these parental rights. And that means you need to communicate with your children. And you need to educate your children at home if there's certain things you'd like to educate them at home. That shouldn't be happening at school, if you think that way. And therefore, I think as a parental rights person, I wonder why parents weren't aware of the curriculum. Because I remember specifically, after I moved here, the year, I think 2 years ago, was when the new curriculum came out. And there was a whole month, please let me know if I'm wrong, but I think there was a whole month where you could walk in and look at all the stuff. You could look at the books that were going to be read. You saw other materials, you had the teacher materials, and all of that. I spent hours there looking through books just because I'm interested. I'm also a teacher, but I'm interested to know what my kids are learning. And I think it's unfair to put certain things that we all have different opinions on the librarian or on some of the teachers. I think a compromise could be that you get a syllabus for especially high school classes and books that are being read, and then you can maybe have the teacher put a note, this contains something about rape, or like a trigger warning, like some of the books do anyway. And then the parents can get that list. They can look over it during the summer and then decide, should my child read it or not? And I'm just saying, we need to also trust our students to come talk to us. If they're high schoolers, you should still be involved. You should still ask them, what are you reading? I want my daughter, who is in 9th grade now, to come home and show me the books. And she does. And if she does have questions, then we talk about it. And sometimes, maybe it's uncomfortable questions. Like, for example, The Horse Whisperer. It's supposed to be a nice book for kids. It was more about the affair of the mom that she had with the horse whisperer, less about the horse, and that's something, okay, you might want to talk about with your kids. But that doesn't mean that other children or students shouldn't have access to that, especially if the parent is not as involved. Then maybe they need those books to learn what not to do. What did we learn from that? Don't have an affair with your horse whisperer. So, it just, I think it should be the parent, and yes, parental rights, but maybe we can find a compromise, and we can use those parents who are already concerned, who are there with their kids. They can opt out. I think that's a good idea. They can opt out, and then the other parents make it the default to opt in, so we don't have the issue of kids not being able to check out the Odyssey like we heard last time, just because the parent didn't sign the form or forgot, or they're not as involved, or they're just not quite there for the child, or they have too much to do, because we all have a lot to do as a parent. We're driving constantly, So with that, I would like to ask the board to maybe reconsider opting in versus opting out, and talking to the teachers about putting a syllabus out so the parents know by the beginning of the summer what the students are reading. If they just opt in, that's fine. If they opt out, then we can have a further discussion. Because with compromises, we can live together. And I'd like to quote, peace
sorry, you'll have to
depends upon
finish your thought.
compromise among people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Up next is Mandy Poland. Thank you for being here, and you have 5 minutes.
Okay. Hello. Thank you. My notes up. Thank you for allowing me to speak and for all that you do to serve the board, the school, everything. I think you had good intentions with this proposition. I truly have to believe that. I get angry sometimes at you, and I'm like, what are you doing? But I think it just comes from a different perspective and different thoughts. So, sorry, I'm Mandy Poland, live in Bellbrook, 4226 Fowler Drive. Graduated from Bellbrook. My mother was a teacher in Bellbrook. My kids are here now. As a teacher, I want you to make sure you are listening to the teachers. I was really moved listening to, gosh, I always get like emotional, sorry. I got really listening to Mrs. Giles speak 2 weeks ago, and I want you to treat her as, and all of them, as the professionals that they are. I feel like controversy like this puts teachers in a really bad light. Parents distrust teachers. They think they are trying to expose them to things that they're not. And I just think that's unfair, and I want to speak in defense of the teachers. I'm not going to talk about the library. That is a whole other thing that I feel strongly about, but I want to share a perspective that I haven't heard outside of the teachers. I want you to think about how much work it is to plan a lesson, to learn a new curriculum. They're doing a ton of work. Teachers are not respected as they should be, and to expect them to, in the middle of the year, right, like in August, we've already been in school, and to expect them to have to write a whole curriculum is just absurd. They are not curriculum writers, they are teachers. So this is not going away. This piece is part of the state law, but come up with some common sense solutions. Listen to the teachers. I love the idea about the syllabus, right? Put that out there. Parents have that. It's out there. They know the books ahead of time. They can do their due diligence to read it, and then opt in to a separate period. One teacher teaches to those 10% that want a different text. That way, all of the classes can have their shared conversations. An ELA classroom should be around a complex text where they are reading, they are writing, they are speaking, they are having discussions and debates. And if 10% of a class can't participate, that's impacting all of them. That's impacting the 10% of each class that are choosing something different. It's also impacting the 90% that are okay with it. And to say I'm okay with it doesn't mean I want my kid reading porn. Like, that is not what's happening. There's a page with a mention, right? My daughter read the Poet-X last year. I was like, what's this? So I read the book. There were parts that I was like, whew, that's intense. We talked about it. I asked her, are you reading this in class? No. Trust the teachers. They don't want to do this either, right? There are worthy books with a page or two. So I want you to be I want our teachers to not feel attacked and feel like it's a witch hunt. And I feel like that's where they are, and they're acting from fear, and they're acting out of fear, and they don't want to be come after because somebody thinks that they're trying to do something that they're not. Teachers go into teaching because they care about kids and they care about literacy. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And last on my sheet, I'd like to welcome Scott Cronin. Welcome, you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Scott Cronin. Live at 3949 Elizabeth Circle in Bellbrook. I guess I want to start by giving some context of me. I've lived in this community for 3 years. We tried to get into this community for about 3 years. The housing market just wasn't cooperating. We really wanted to be here because of the schools. I just got back from a work trip and had a bunch of people from Hanscom Air Force Base that were asking me about Wright Pat, and I was like, I'll tell you what, if you're going to move here, Bellbrook, this is the place to come. I'm a proud parent of 2 children in our district, a 5th grader and an 8th grader. And I just want to start by saying thank you. Thank you to our teachers, thank you to our administration, thank you to our school district. I want to voice my unwavering support for everything that you do. We have incredible teachers who guide my kids every day, and I really believe that we have a school board that's steering us in a positive direction. My wife is a teacher. My mother is a teacher. My mother-in-law is a teacher. I come from a family of educators, and in no way do I ever want to attack or make any teachers feel like they are attacked. I want to support the teachers, especially the teachers that have done such an amazing job in the 3 years that we've lived here, pouring into my children. Our teachers are dedicated, they're creative, they're truly invested in helping our kids grow. Not just academically, but through thoughtful, they're making them grow as thoughtful, resilient individuals. Hands-on experiments, thoughtful discussions in literature, making math fun through digital competitions. The curriculum is engaging and enriching. The board's policies, I think that they've fostered a safe, focused learning environment for our children that aligns with our family's values. And under your leadership, our schools feel like a true partnership between the educators and the parents, and for that I'm deeply grateful. But that being said, I also feel like I need to address the recent controversies surrounding the board's policies on mature content. I believe that this policy wisely restricts exposure to sexual content and graphic sexual acts, content that is simply not age appropriate for young minds who are still building their foundational understanding of the world. I do believe that the opt-in requirement for our high school is a smart safeguard, giving us as parents the choice to decide if our teenagers are ready. I understand that this is a complex issue, and I understand that maybe we haven't reached the perfect form of it yet, but I wholeheartedly support the idea of supporting parents' right to choose. As parents, we know our children best. We understand their maturity level, their sensitivities. We understand their readiness to process complex or explicit topics. This isn't about censorship. It's about empowerment. It respects our role as the primary guides in our children's lives, ensuring that sensitive discussions about identity and sexuality happen in our homes, at our pace, and with our input. What troubles me deeply is the strong opposition that I've seen from some members of our community, specifically in our schools. It feels as though there's a vocal group that is really fixated on this particular topic. And I understand that they might feel attacked. I understand that they might not enjoy this. They might not want this to happen. I do want to echo the suggestion, though, that if we have multiple options, why are we picking maybe one that is more controversial? I think that at the last board meeting, I heard that somebody had proposed the board maybe take a less controversial stance. I think that maybe the teachers could take a less controversial stance. When the opt-in process revealed this hesitation from the school staff, the one thing that I want the teachers to know is that it gave an impression to us as parents. I don't mistrust my teachers. I trust them. But the message that I received from that was that it was too much work. I understand what it's like to watch my wife create lesson plans, to see my mom have to create these lesson plans. I understand how much work, how underappreciated teachers are. I am very sympathetic to that. But the impression that I got raised a lot of red flags. It felt like notifying parents was such a burden.
Sorry, you have to finish your thought, please.
The one thing that I did want to say is I found it very disturbing when I heard that so many people walked away. Walking away isn't dialogue, it's dismissal. And the fallout that we've seen from this has been very disheartening. In closing, I just want to urge our teachers to return to the table with open minds and a spirit of collaboration, engaging with our school board and our leaders. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. All right, that's the end of our list, so I'm sorry, we're to the end of our list, so I have to close. I don't believe we have. We're to the end of our list, so I'm going to close our public comment period for tonight. Okay, thank you. And we are now moving on to number 6, which is our superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. Again, this is a consent agenda, so A, B, C, and D, or the consent agenda for E. So we have certificated license, employment, resignation, leave of absence, supplemental duty, pupil activity. And then B, central office employment, resignation, leave of absence. And then C, support staff employment, resignation, leave of absence. And then D, substitute employment.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Dorn and then Mrs. Anderson.
Again, so combinations of some resignations, some hires, some supplemental duty contracts, and then substitute teachers.
Can we talk a little bit about the transportation? I have a couple questions about that.
I think that might be coming up next.
I'm
Is
sorry,
that-
I
is that
jumped
okay?
ahead. Apologies.
Yeah, there's-
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is
Yeah,
that
there's
the
7A and
bus
B
routes
is
I'm sorry.
transportation.
and- Okay, no worries.
I can't read what's in front of my face.
Okay.
No, you're fine. Okay, any other details or questions? Okay, moved by Mrs. Dorn, seconded by Mrs. Anderson. Please call the roll.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price.
Yes.
5 yeses.
Okay, thank you. So 7A, other action items, bus routes. So per section 3301-83-13 of the Pupil Transportation Operation and Safety Rules, the board designates all bus stops, routes, and time schedules for the 25-26 school year. Superintendent and/or transportation coordinator have the authority to relocate or make changes as deemed necessary for the safety of the district's students and school bus fleet.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Dorn, then Mrs. Anderson.
This is one of probably the handful of 5 or 6 things where I don't know why this is in law that we have to approve this, in that we have no idea how to create a bus route or what that would look like. So we're going to trust you on this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I think
So
you can
Lori,
probably
is it
speak
good?
for
We're
everyone.
good? Okay, that's all I need.
Again, she tweaks and refine these also throughout the year, or if new students or
Or
things
when the
happen.
system crashes?
Or when the system,
okay.
when the system crashes and so forth,
Yeah.
so,
But with
again,
respect to that, we do have extra routes in downtown Bellbrook now, right?
correct.
So,
So
thank
all those,
you.
all
Thank
those
you.
folks were notified that
Thank
they
you
were
very
available for a bus route, and there's been approximately, how many people maybe downtown? 15, 10 students, about?
Across the 3 schools that we've added that to, we're looking at 2 dozen.
Okay.
Really? Wow.
Okay.
So,
It's
That
very
means
helpful to
24,
work
right?
with,
Ish.
Yeah,
Yes, 23
Very.
to 24 students.
yes, okay.
very helpful.
How did that come about? Did parents
That's her
request
idea.
that, or you just went,
It was her idea.
So when I, if I don't know if you want me to stand or, but.
No, you're good.
Dance.
So, when I got here, I noticed that that hike up the hill in the dark is it's a tough one in December through February in the dark, you know, in the mornings. And it, to me, presented an opportunity for us to expand. We're already passing by there with buses that are going out to the country to pick up very few students but drive a lot of miles. So this gave us an opportunity to, you know, provide with no extra resources or really no extra time, a collection point for them to shuttle them up to one of the various schools on that side of town.
That's why I so appreciate you about you. You're just observant, you care, you do your job wonderfully well.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to do it.
Solve problem, solve.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ms. Smith does a fantastic job of just on a daily, more times and then probably she should of getting on a bus just because there are shortages and so forth, so doing whatever needs to be done to get the job done. So like today, you were on a bus today, just a little short-staffed, and that's a continual battle to try to get enough bus drivers and so forth, and trying that balancing act of providing that service, but of being able to get enough people to drive, to be able to drive the bus too, because it's not an easy thing to get the licensure or easy thing or job to do it on a daily basis. So.
How are the cameras working out for enforcing, stopping or helping stop bus runners? Is it?
Cameras are wonderful. Thank you again for allowing us to do that. The cameras have really eliminated the need for us taking drivers off the routes.
Okay, good. Okay, I knew that was there was some question about that, but that's now that's the proof.
Yeah, the cameras show the whole story. The dash cameras and the stop arm cameras allow us to put all of the pieces together along with the inside picture of the lights being activated. And I have not had, knock on wood, I've not had one driver subpoenaed for a court appearance since providing the footage. So that helps with the driver shortage.
You have a couple of months typically, thereabouts, hopefully less now.
Yeah, it ebbs and flows. Like in August, we probably had more just because we had to remind folks that we were back in school, and you can't do that. But it does. It ebbs and flows. But you know, we're looking at for actual convictions. I believe we're averaging somewhere between 7 and 10.
A year?
No, we put it into like quarters.
Okay.
So. Yeah, so it's certainly allowing us a greater opportunity because we can focus on the kids and their safety and not worry so much about having to get all the details, driver descriptions, license plates, that type of thing. So it's really, it truly is a benefit to have that. So you can focus 100% on the kids' safety and get all of that information later.
As you know, I've ridden a couple times on the bus, and it's really, I encourage y'all to do that and just see what wonderful work our bus drivers do, and you can see why they don't need to be trying to get a pin and you know, look down the road while they're trying. Most importantly, need to be watching the kid that's getting on. Just because they got missed by one car doesn't mean another car can't get them. So I'm really glad that those are panning out. So thank you.
All right, so our bus routes were moved by Mrs. Dorn and seconded by Mrs. Anderson. Any other questions or anything? Please call the roll.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor.
Yes.
5 yeses.
Thank you. 7B, 2025-26 payment in lieu of transportation student eligibility. So recommend approval of district non-public private school districts who are eligible to receive a payment in lieu of transportation services for the 2025-2026 school year based on impracticality of school bus transportation per pupil amount of payment as determined by the State Board of Education and Workforce, which is about $607 a student a year.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Dorn and then Dr. Pryor.
I guess that's now I can ask my questions, right? So yeah, sorry, I'd scrolled to the wrong place on
Sure.
the screen.
You
Here,
haven't
so.
started asking your questions yet?
I
Sorry.
thought it was in 7A.
Sorry.
But
May I?
okay.
Yeah, sorry.
May I?
Absolutely.
I guess I always knew we did this. I know we are required to do this from the state. I guess what surprised me is the number that's there. What is it, somewhere around 90, 100, thereabouts? Thereabouts. It was like 12 pages of, some 8 or 10 names each, so.
172. 172.
172, wow.
Yes, 172.
So there's 172 kids in our district that choose to go some other option, and
Whether it's a private or charter school or, or a public charter,
Well, and these are the ones who choose to find education elsewhere and ask for the reimbursement,
Right.
because not all of them do.
Okay.
Correct.
So we reimburse them, or do we actually provide the transportation? And it's just, we reimburse them as far as,
Payment in lieu of providing the
I'm sorry,
transportation.
in lieu of, yes, okay, got it.
In lieu of.
Wow. I guess I was surprised how many kids did go to other schools from this district.
And these are just the ones that have asked for reimbursement. There's a bigger list of kids that go away.
Yeah, do we know how many, that's probably a hard number to get maybe.
So there is roughly right below 300 kids that are registered at other schools. We saw a large increase this year with the opening of an elementary grades at one of the STEM schools in the area. So we saw a shift there. And just to clarify, payment in lieu of transportation is a form of transportation. So it all starts with a request for transportation. Unfortunately, again, due to a lack of drivers and resources, it also affects, if their start time is the same as our building start times, makes it impossible for us to take our already limited staff and divide it out to other areas outside of the district. So payment in lieu of transportation is what we offer as a result of their request for transportation.
You do provide some transportation, though, directly or not?
There are some schools that we're able to support based on their location and start times, but unfortunately, all the high schools in the area like to start about the same time. All of the elementary schools in the area like to start about the same time, and I'm already, struggling to cover just the routes we have in our community. So it makes it really challenging to try and dedicate resources outside of Bellbrook.
And we pick them up at their home, correct? Where we can.
Yes, where we can. It's no different than how I write a route for Bellbrook as far as corner stops in the neighborhoods, driveway stops where we don't have sidewalks or it's not safe for someone to, walk to another location. So it's evaluated with the same diligence that I do for the students here that are attending the public schools.
But the distance requirement we have obviously doesn't really apply there. So they might live right next to the high school or Stephenville or whatever, and then they'll be picked up and taken to whichever school. They don't have like the 1 or 2 mile requirement.
No, I have to provide I have to use the same guidelines as I use for the public schools.
Okay.
So we use the same ineligibility zones to determine, who gets payment in lieu of transportation or a form of transportation.
That's not anchored to our schools at all. It's how far they are from the school they're going to, correct?
No.
So a student that lives, for example, in Cable's Mill,
Mhm.
would we pay for them to be transported to Alter? We wouldn't pay for them we wouldn't transport them to our high school. We pay, we're getting really deep here.
Yes,
we're
we're
I think that's what you're asking, right?
Explain to Stephen about, we
Okay.
were just talking about this.
So I knew this was going to come up.
Yeah.
So in looking at the start times of the schools, I have to pair them with the transportation that is currently available in our district at about those same times. So unfortunately, so many of those schools start about the same time as what Stephenville does. So we look at Stephenville's ineligibility zone because that would be the bus tier that I would bring them to Stephenville on and then collect them there and send them out to Alter or Carroll or one of those two schools if I was able to. So while we do use the ineligibility zones, unfortunately for Stephenville, Cable's Middle is eligible, but it's because I have to use that tier to model, because of the timing of that school, I have to use that tier to model what that transportation would look like.
It's not based on age, it's based on time.
It's not based on grade at all, unfortunately. It's based on time.
this, okay, so.
But you
And this has
passed.
been around forever. I mean,
Well, of course it has,
I went
but
to Catholic
doesn't mean I
schools
understood
as a
it.
child, and I rode public school buses to my Catholic school.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of old.
It could have been around as long as you, but doesn't mean I understand it, so.
I'm just saying.
And it's state law, it's not
Yeah,
something
state
that
law.
we can
It's,
choose
it's
or
one of,
not
again,
choose.
one of those unfunded
Right.
mandates, right, so.
Yeah.
How much again per student-ish?
$678, I believe.
Any other questions about payment of transportation? Good discussion. Moved by Mrs. Dorn, seconded by Dr. Pryor. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson.
Yes.
5 yeses.
All right, next is a MOU with the, with SEA, Sugar Creek Education Association, for a couple supplementals for bowling. So recommend approval memorandum of understanding with Sugar Creek Education regarding the addition of 2 supplemental duty positions effective with the 25-26 school year. Should have just read that.
Moved.
Second.
Mrs. Dorn, then Mrs. Anderson.
Yep, so for this, for the first time, we have a varsity bowling team, and so if it's just one, so there's one position for that team if it's just co-ed, and if there's enough people for a boys and girls team, then we would have 2 coaches. One would be the head coach, one would be the assistant coach. So I hope we have enough students to fill out both. That'd be a great, another great varsity sport for our kids to be involved with, spend time and energy on those positive things, and so hopefully we have enough to fill out both.
All right, please call the roll.
Mr. Kinsey,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn.
Yes.
5 yeses.
All right, that's everything for agenda. Anything else before we adjourn?
Yes, I have a statement I would like to read.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I couldn't be here at the last school board meeting, so, but I did watch it. And so pretty much what I'm going to say here is in response to that meeting, as well as the comments we've had before and as well as tonight about 5780. At the August 28th school board meeting, the Sugar Creek Education Association Teachers Union president stated the following: the board should trust and respect the professionalism, expertise, and experience of our district administration and staff members. I agree. Excuse me. I got home at 2 o'clock last night, so bear with me if I don't have the best voice here tonight. In mastery of their subject matter, their ability to very effectively teach children, their experience, their leadership, the services they provide, and so importantly, their love, compassion, and care for our children, I genuinely respect and trust them implicitly. However, when it comes to matters containing sexual content, I do not agree. I do not trust them to make decisions on behalf of parents regarding what is best for their minor children. I do not trust them to know what parents want, to determine what parents find acceptable for their children, to decide for the parents. To be clear, though, I don't pretend or trust to know that myself, what parents find acceptable for their children in this area, and make the decision for them. I certainly don't blindly trust professional organizations such as the American Library Association, whose often controversial recommendations can influence material purchase decisions made by school districts throughout Ohio, to include ours. Times have changed. They're always saying that, right? It's been said down through all of history, but I think anyone would acknowledge we're in a period of rapid social, technological, and other type of changes. So we're in new territory here. Detailed graphic descriptions such as digital vaginal penetration, rape, anal sex between an adult and a probable minor, forced oral sex, masturbation, even a reference to sex with an animal in today's youth-focused young adult approved literature are pretty far removed from parallels some try to draw with romantic or even erotic encounters found in classic literature. Consider the context does not matter for many parents. It seems entirely reasonable to me that parents should have a say in whether graphic sexual content is made available to their minor children rather than relying upon the professionals to curate and decide for them. It was troubling to see some school employees and community members walk out of the last board meeting when factual information about materials actually in our school district was being conveyed by the board president in public. His stated and clear intent was to provide specific examples from school district-owned materials that would require parent approval, since there seems to be some question about what is meant by Policy 5780's sexuality content definition of inherently private sexual acts or sexual intercourse in any form. For those who would hear it, the examples he gave would have made it clear. The walkout by those advocating for a child's right to read was not a good moment for alleviating parent concerns about inappropriate content in our district, nor for finding common ground on ways to improve Board Policy 5780. Also, contrary to what the SEA stated at the last board meeting, the district as a norm actually has some materials available to children which are inappropriate by many parents' standards. Witness the library book examples previously provided. As a school system, we can do better by more openly acknowledging and respecting parent rights and by being more aware of and categorizing potentially inappropriate material in order to be able to comply with parent choice. Ohio has recently passed Parent Bill of Rights law and BSS Policy 5780, which guides our implementation of that law, will help achieve these goals. The SEA also said in part, it is a common theme in America today to blame educators for societal issues without actual evidence. There is an undeserved level of distrust and disrespect from all levels of government that many of us have felt since 2020. To that I would respond that especially since 2020, there has been an unprecedented level of effort by some, let me repeat that, some, not all, across the nation's K-12 public education systems to introduce to children what many parents find to be inappropriate sexuality content and gender ideology. As a result of that, the parent radar is up. Frankly, in some locations across the United States, K-12 public school systems have a black eye and a reputation to repair. As I am a strong supporter of public education, I often ponder why the state of Ohio is demonstrably adversarial towards it, as evidenced by underfunding public schools while significantly increasing funding for private schools through Ed Choice. And then we had the example here tonight of the busing, that we expend our finances to send kids to other schools. And we have to do that per state law. I have to wonder, though, if what I've spoken about tonight is a reason for this adversarial approach that the state of Ohio takes towards public education. I think it would be wonderful. In fact, I think it's essential for us to work better together as a team of teachers, staff, librarians, media specialists, administrators, board members, community members, and parents to provide the best possible education for our children while respecting parent rights and recognizing sensitivities over graphic content such as the examples previously provided. It is not necessary to explore the envelope of age appropriateness to educate our children. Apart from graphic sexual content, there is more than enough knowledge and learning to impart to keep us all very, very, very busy. Let us work together as one, and I mean that, all of us together as a team here, for the good of our children. If you'd like a copy of this statement, happy to mail it to you. Email me. With that being said, with respect to my fellow board members here, I do believe once we hear back from the schools how 5780 is going, and I believe there's some meetings tomorrow with Heidi, you, and Audra, I believe, with the school. Let's see how it goes, and how this administratively or I guess procedurally gets implemented. But in general, though, as just one board member talking here, and by the way, this is my statement, not coordinated with the board, my own thoughts, what I said previously. But I think we might want to consider improving on the definition of sexuality content to make it clear that the concern is over graphic content. Again, some examples were given in the last board meeting. I alluded to those again tonight. I think, and I think this is what you two will talk tomorrow about with our teachers, that we do need to find a way to help our teachers so they're not, when parents don't turn the Parent Plus or Parent Square or forms back in, what's it called, Final Forms or Parent Square.
Parent Square.
that puts the teacher in a bind. They don't know what the answer is. We need to find a solution for that to help them. And I know there was some talk tonight about opt-in and opt-out. I personally, one board member, just talking here, I'm okay with opt-out, with a big caveat, that the school continues to be responsible for identifying content that would require parent approval under 5780 in accordance with what they have selected at the beginning of the school year. Don't put the onus on the parents that are inundated with work and multiple children having to review one more form from one of their 6 teachers to figure out if this can go through. No, the parent has made a statement at the beginning of the year. I don't want my children having access to books with sexuality content as defined. And again, I think we need to work on the definition. The onus is on the school to respect that choice. And I think then I personally would support opt-out only, but I would, to emphasize for the third time, the onus is on the school to be responsible to adhering to what the parent choice was as indicated at the first of the year, and not for every book that gets read throughout the year. So I appreciate your patience. I know this wasn't part of the agenda for tonight, but I thought it was important because in light, especially the last board meeting, I thought there was just a lot of things that were kind of left little unclosed, whatever the word is there. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Anybody have anything else, or are we ready to adjourn? We could follow up with you afterwards if that's okay. Thank you.
I also feel for the teachers who, if people don't turn in those permission slips, what are they supposed to do? But, so, that's certainly something to think about. But there's also a learning curve. This is a new thing. People aren't used to that new section on final forms. And, I was just thinking, we go on a zillion field trips and no one's ever swarmed the board meeting saying 25% of the kids' parents didn't turn in their permission slips, so 25% of the kids didn't get to go to La Comedia. Somehow we're getting in touch with parents to fill out permission slips, and we have done that for decades. But maybe it could be something real easy like one final form at the beginning of the year. Look, I want my kid opted out of all the sexuality content the whole year, and you can let me know if there's something like I could reconsider, instead of each individual book they might read, So there might be, I certainly want to make it as easy as possible for the teachers. And, but I don't want to go back to the previous opt-out, which was don't tell anyone about the sexuality content. If a parent happens to notice it and complain, then their kid can opt out. That's what we've been doing thus far. So I definitely want parents to be alerted. This is what we're doing, and have a choice. So I think that's very important, but we hopefully can do it in a way that isn't too overwhelming for our teachers and staff and administration.
And these are good thoughts for the implementation team to think about. I said at the last meeting, it's probably been said many times, that we concern ourselves with policy, and then I think we need to give some room for the implementation team to breathe. Apparently, policy was passed in the last spring. Apparently, some of this has just been started to be discussed here in the last couple weeks, so let's give them a chance rather than good thoughts, but it's not our place. And you're right, it seems like a lot of information goes out properly and gets answered, so let's give them a chance to work through it. And again, with any questions that we can help, especially for clarifications with the policy, we're happy to try and give, so long as people will stay and listen to them. So, all right, anybody got anything else before we can adjourn?
As Mr. Price alluded, and I think Ms. Schumacher alluded, the teachers have been willing to come to the table tomorrow, so definitely appreciate that. We'll be meeting with the ELA teachers tomorrow, Mrs. Dorn and I, so we're working on that.
At this time, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Dorn. Please call the roll.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Dr. Pryor,
Yes.
Mrs. Anderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Dawn,
Yes.
Mr. Kinsey.
Yes.
5 yeses.
All right, we're adjourned at 8:05 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for coming.